Hello guys, my name is Confident. Welcome to our revision session as you guys are preparing for your final exams. I guess it might be maybe you're preparing for your next exam and you want to get a little bit of some revision session in your mathematics N1. So what I did, I thought of coming up with a full question paper revision just to show you, if ever you were in that exam sitting for a similar paper, how you can approach that paper. So it will give you some strategies, it will give you some concepts you can apply, and I hope this section will be of benefit to you. Now let us dive into this question paper. Now this paper was written, it's a Department of Higher Education first, just to clarify that. This is a Department of Higher Education and Training paper. As you can see, usually call it DHET. It's a National Certificate Mathematics N1, and this paper was written on the 25th of July 2019. And maybe that is the reason why I chose this paper in particular, because on this 25th of July, it's a special day for me because it is my birthday. I mean, I was born on the 25th of July, not 2019, of course. 25th of July is a special day for me. So, well, I was invigilating on this day when this paper was being written, and you can imagine to invigilate and to work on your birthday. But anyway, it is a special day for me. But let's look at the question paper and forget about that. It's a 3-hour paper. Usually it's called an X paper because it's written in the morning, and then says in the requirements you will use a graph paper. I hope we have a graph paper in this paper. And then it says non-programmable calculators may be used. So in this case, you can use any calculator, especially the scientific Casio. The one that I suggest, I've got, let me show you what I have here as my calculator. This is what I'm using. It's a Casio calculator, and then it says FX82ES plus. There is another one, the latest version, it is FX82ZA plus. That one I will encourage it, and the main part where it's different is in the sketching of graphs, because when you say mod setup, actually when you say mod and then you say 3 for table, you will find that it allows you to plot 2 graphs. It has got f of x and g of x, so I will encourage that one. But the one that I'll be using is the one that I just shown you. And then when you continue with this paper, it says consists of 6 pages and 2 formula sheets. So don't forget, there are formulas in your mathematics N1, so you must utilize those formulas so that you don't get the formulas wrong. Let us look at a few instructions that are more important for your paper. This is one area that students sometimes take for granted because they think, oh, this is not the first exam, the instructions are always general, but it's always good for you to read instructions. Just to start here again, it says this paper is a 3-hour paper, and the mark allocation, this paper is out of 100. And a few instructions. The first instruction says answer all the questions, so everything there you have to answer. It says read all questions carefully, that's standard. Then it says number the answers according to the numbering system used in this question paper. So don't come up with your own numbering, please maintain the numbering that is given. And then sometimes students take it lightly. You find that they start now saying 3.1.1.1, which is not given, so try to maintain your numbering. Now question 5.13 and question 2.7.23 must be answered on a graph paper. They will specify when we get there. It says show all formulas. You see, it's very important part. Make sure that you write the formula as is first before you substitute. And then it says intermediate steps. You need to show them, as well as simplify where possible. So don't leave your answer and that is not simplified, so you must try to simplify as far as possible. Says the next part says round off all final answers to 3 decimal places unless indicated otherwise. So every answer that we're going to get which has got decimals, we're going to round off to 3. says questions may be answered in any order, meaning you can answer from question 7, you can answer from question 4, you can start at any question, but whenever you start answering that question, it says the subsections of the questions must be kept together. So if you, let's say you start answering question number 4, you must answer all your 4.1, your 4.2 until the end of question 4. Now don't mix up whereby in one side you have got 4.1, then you move on to have 5.2. So you're mixing, these are subsections. They don't allow you to mix those subsections. So if it happens that you have started with question, for example, question 4, and you feel like you don't know, you discover that you don't know actually question 4.2. So let's say you have got question 4.1, but you don't know question 4.2. So now you go for 4.2, just leave some lines so that now you can go to 4.3. Later, you can revert back to your 4.2 and try to do that one. So that you don't break the subsections. And then the other instruction says questions must be answered in blue and black. I don't know how many times students you find that they are using other green pens. They're using some, when they're writing the exams, you find the student is also coloring their work, They write question 1 maybe in a blue pen. Now, question 1.1, they use a pink pen, just to make it look beautiful, but that is not necessary. The aim is not to beautify your answers, but to just be standard. It's either you're using blue or you're using black. And then when you're drawing, you can draw with a pencil. Please don't write with a pencil because they will not mark that. That's why it says writing in pencil will not be marked, because it is assumed it is rough work. So please ensure that everything you're writing is in blue or black. If you feel that you want to draw your sketches in blue or black, also it's fine. They won't penalize you, but you can draw your sketches in a pencil. Whenever there is writing, not drawing, not sketching, it must be in pencil. And then write neatly. Don't be clumsy with your work. Try to be neat as possible. So now let us look at this question. This is question number 1, starting the paper. So if you're writing that paper, they will say you can start. Before they say you can start, please don't start. You are reading those instructions 15 minutes or 10 minutes before they will give you this paper to read your instructions. So now, after that, that's where you end. You can actually go through this paper, you peruse through until the end, But when they say start, this is where you're starting your question 1. Now, as they said, you can answer the questions in any form. You're allowed during that waiting time to go to question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You go through your questions just to understand what you're given. There is the formula. Okay, there is a diagram of the formula. So all these formulas. So you're just going through the paper and you're trying to get a feel how this paper is. Now, question 1. For the sake of this, I'm going to start from question 1. It says simplify the following using exponents. Alright, I must use exponents without using a calculator. So they don't want me to use a calculator, but most of the time when they say I must not use a calculator, I first check the question 1.1. Is there a way I can use a calculator? I discover it's not going to be easy for me because the x there, I've got x. But if it was possible, I will actually use the calculator because I need to know the answer before I start working on it. So let us start with this question 1.1. So what I'm given here is 5 times 3 root, that is cube root of 8 x to the power of 6 times 3 x squared. What you need to notice is that this part is alone. If you can just a little bit deal with that, this is cube root of 8 x to the power of 6. You see that part? That is the main thing that needed a little bit of attention. Now, how do you simplify that one? That one is same as saying you put a bracket. The word cube root means it's 1/3. That is that part. And then remember 8. They said I must not use a calculator, but I told you that is when I take a calculator. Now 8 is same as 2 to the power of 3. It's 8. So what I do here, I will have 2 to the power of 3 x to the power of 6. That's what I'll be having. So if that is the case, I can then move on to simplify this problem as equal to 5 times, and then I've got 2 to the power of 3 x to the power of 6 bracket, remember that cube root is power 1 over 3 as a power, times 3x squared. Alright, and then when you continue doing that, now this power 1 over 3, it will affect and multiply each and every power there. So you'll have 5 times, you have to open that bracket, which is 2 to the power of 3 times 1 over 3. You see what is happening to that power? That's what it's doing. And then you've got x to the power of 6 again times 1 over 3. So you have distributed that 1 over 3 to both 2 and x because they were in the bracket. And then times 3x squared. See what's happening? Which is equal to, now you can simplify that to get a power 1. You can say 6 times 1/3, you can use a calculator there, but you'll get a 2. So what you have is 5 times 2 to the power of 1, x to the power of 2, times 3x to the power of 2. So this is what you're having. Now, what you need to do now is to collect numbers together and the x's together, which is equal to 5 times 2 to the power of 1 times 3 times I've got x squared, right? And then times, in that 3x squared is another x squared there. So when I multiply in terms of these numbers, as I say, they won't penalize you using a calculator here to multiply. It's 5 times 2 times 3. Anyway, they won't see that you use the calculator because they were not there when you're writing this paper, those who are marking it. So it's 30 x. Now you must see now x squared and x squared, it's 2 plus 2, which is equal to 30 x to the power of 4, because there are 4 of them. 2 and 2 is equal to 4. Now, how do you quickly check your answer? You just choose any value, say let's x is equal to 4. So what you simply do, that is always very important for me. I keep on checking my answers whenever I'm working because I just want to be sure that I got it right. So what I do, I go to the original and say 5 times cube root of, and then it's 8. I can put a bracket. Remember my x, I said let my x be equal to 4, so I put a 4 to the power 6 there, and then after that play forward times 3x, which is bracket 4 squared, like that. All right, and then I'll get the answer, which is 7,680. Now just take note of that answer. I'm going to put it in my final answers to see if ever it's giving me 7680. So I've got 30 bracket 4 to the power 4 bracket. Am I getting 7,680? Yes, I'm getting 7,680. So it means my simplification in this case is correct. So you see, I get an assurance that I'm doing the right thing. So this was question number 1.1. Let us move on. That is 2 marks. Let us go on to question 1.1.2. We are supposed to simplify this part here. We're looking now at this question 1.1.2, and this is what we're given. Now, how do you approach that part? This is 4 marks. It's good marks. Now that square root is the same. You can write this question, that square root, there is a 2 there. So this is same as saying you put that and you put power half. That's what that square root is meaning. Now 4 is same as 2 squared, a squared, b to the power 4. I hope you're seeing that. Over, now what is 9? 9 is 3 squared. You need to know these numbers, like 4, 8, 9, 16. You need to know these numbers. Now you must express them as exponents, and then times, and then you've got 3a. Now b to the power of 0, you must understand that this 0 is only affecting that b. So if the 0 is only affecting that b, it is very important for you to know that any number to the power of 0 is 1. For example, 9 to the power of 0 is 1. 89 to the power of 0 is 1. So here, where there is b to the power of 0, they wanted you to recognize that you put a bracket, that it's a 1 there. That is what they wanted you to recognize there, and they'll give you a mark for that. And then after that, you say times, now 4b squared there. 4, remember, is 2 squared b, close it, and you have the 2 outside. Then when you have done that, the reason now why I was doing that is to now distribute. This half will affect each and every power. Don't forget, each and every power inside will be affected by half. That is the top as well as the bottom. Don't forget that. You must distribute the half to each and every item, including the numerator as well as the denominator. So how do you do that? It will be 2. This is 2 times half. See that half? A. 2 times half. See what's happening? And B. 4 times half. Remember this power over 3. 2 times a half. So most students will forget that the 3 to the power of 2 is also affected by that half, by virtue of the bracket, as you can see that. And then you have got times 3a, and then times, now again, this 2 here, I can use a different marker there. This particular 2 here is also affecting that. Now the b there, if they don't include any power, it means by default is a 1. So it will multiply as with a 1. So what you'll be having is 2 to the power of 2 times 2, b to the power of 1 times 2. That is basically what it means. So when you've done that, you go on to simplify, and in your simplification, 2 and 2 cancel to get 2 to the power 1. That one also, a and 2 cancel to get a to the power of 1. 2 and 4 cancel to get b to the power of 2 all over. In 3, the 2 and the 2 cancels to get 3 to the power of 1 times, we have got the 3 there is 3a, and the 2 times 2 is 2 to the power of 4. 1 times 2 is b to the power of 2. I think you see where it's going. Anyway, let's continue with that. And then what do we get? Now you can see, now this is a fraction on this part is a fraction. So this part, I'm allowed also to take this side and divide by 1 so that everything is a fraction. I'll tell you why I'm doing it. So if I divide this by 1, you can now see that 1 3 is on top and the other 3 is at the bottom. They can cancel each other. So when you've done that, you have removed all, because when you cancel, you get a 1 there. So it means you don't have any fraction anymore. So you are having collect like terms on top. When you collect like terms on top, you'll have 2 to the power 1. That is the part on 2. There is another 2 there, times 2 to the power 4. Everything is multiplying. Let me just remove this 1 here so that it doesn't affect. It was over 1 there. So it's 2 to the power 4. And then no other numbers. I go to the letters a to the power 1. Now we have another a here. Look at that part. We have another a. So if we're not given any power, it's times a to the power 1. And then let's go for b. It's times. Even if you don't put a times, it's still fine. Or you can put a dot like this. It's still allowed. This is b squared dot. That is the 1b. And there is another one there, which is b squared. So whether you put a dot, you put a times, or you don't put anything between the letter and the number, is fine. But between the numbers, you must always put a multiplication or a dot. Now, 2 to the power 1, so and 2 to the power 4, it will be, you need to add 1 plus 4 there, because you can see that 4 and 1 shows that they are 5, times a, 1 plus 1, so that you add them, and also times b, you have got your 2 plus 2. So the answer therefore become 1 plus 4 is 2 to the power of 5, a to the power of 2, and b to the power of 4. This is what you get when you simplify that. Now, as an assurance, as I told you, I always feel much better if I test my answer. So what I do, I choose any value of a. For example, I say let a be equal to 2 and let b be equal to 3. I use that value of a and b in the original and see what I'm getting. So the first one is square root of that fraction. It's 4. Remember my a, I said let my a be equal to 2. So it's 4 bracket 2 squared, close that, and then bracket b, I said let my b be equal to 3. So it will be 3 to the power of 4, and then close that bracket, and then I go over 9 forward times, and then it's 3. Remember my a is 2, and then my b in this case is 3 to the power of 0. Alright, and then times bracket 4, I can say times b there, which is 3. Everything is to the power of 2. Now if I do that, I'm getting 10,368. So here is 10,368. Keep this number, go to my final answer, and see if it is going to give me the same answer there. So what I do, I use the same values of a that I did. I said a is 2 and b is 3. Just simple numbers. It's 2 to the power of 5. And I've got times a, I say it is 2. Okay, I've already said times, so it's 2 to the power of 2. And b, I can put a bracket or times, b is 3 to the power of 4. Then if I do that, I'm getting 10,368 here. It's 10,368. So if I compare these two numbers, 10,368, 10,368, it means whatever I was simplifying is still maintained and I am on the right track. So this is what I usually do, and I will encourage you to always keep testing your answers like that. So that was the question that we did. It's question 1.2, you get your 4 marks. Let's look at question 1.13. Question 1.13, you get your 3 marks there. You are given 8 times a to the power of that times 2 to the power of that times 16 to the power of that. Now, what is the hint, or what do I usually look for in such? Now, the most important thing is to express everything in the same base. You see, I've got 8, 2, and 16. That confuses a lot. Now, I need to express everything in the same base. Now, I know that if I take my calculator and I write my 8, you can see that 2 to the power of 3 is my 8, right? And 16 is actually, if I delete there and say 2 to the power of 4, is 16. So I can write everything in terms of 2 so that the base is the same. So I will have 2 to the power of 3, right? Then, but there is x plus 3 here, which is confusing. Now the question is, how do you write it? If you leave it like that, automatically it is wrong, because now it looks like 2 to the power 3x plus 3. So what you need to do is either you put a bracket here to protect, to show that 2 to the power 3 is the one which, remember, this is my 8. So that's what I'm trying to actually to protect there. So I've got 2 to the power 3 in bracket, or you can actually do it like this, to say 2 to the power of 3 and protect it the other way around. This is actually much better. You know why? So that this 3 can now affect the x and the 3 can affect the other 3. So instead of it looking 2 to the power 3x plus 3 is now 2 to the power 3x plus 9. I hope you're getting that. The next one is 2 to the power of 3x plus 2 and times, remember 16 was 2 to the power of 4, again bracket x minus 1. So please do that and trust me, you will get it right. So now expanding in the first one will become 2 to the power of 3x plus 9 times 2 to the power of 3x plus 2 times, now also expand that part, it will be 2 to the power of 4x minus 4. Instead of minus 1, if you didn't put a bracket, it will be now minus 4. When you have got the same basis, remember the laws of exponents says when the base are the same and is multiplication, you add the exponents. So you write the base. Now the exponents, when you're adding them, add them according to the common terms. So I'll take 3x plus another 3x plus another 4x. I was collecting the common terms. Now let's go for the numbers. Plus 9 plus 2 plus negative 4. So when I do that, is 2. Now you can use a calculator or you can add it if you can. So it's 3 plus 3 plus 4. Alright, I get 10 there. So I have got 10x plus, then I've got 9 plus 2 and minus 4. What does it give me? It is 9 plus 2 minus 4. It gives me a 7. So it's 10x plus 7. So this is the final answer. You get your 3 marks for that. It's simplified. Again, what do? I test it. I think you can see that everything I'm doing, I'm testing. Choose any value of x. Let's say x is equal to 7. So I will test it on top here, where there is x. Again, I test with x is equal to 7 here. My answers, if they are the same, it means I'm simplifying the right way. So let's test it. In the first one, I've got 8 to the power of 7 plus 3, right, times 2 to the power of 3 times 7, or 3 bracket 7, still fine, plus 2, and then play forward, times 16 to the power of 7 minus 1. Right, let's see what I'm getting. Getting a long answer, which is 1,511 times 10 to the power 23. So it's 1,511 times 10 to the power 23. You know, the aim is just to look and see, is it the same number that I'm getting? Then you're good to go. Now look at the next one quickly. Try this other one. On the final answer, 2 to the power of 10 bracket 7 plus 7. It's actually 10, not 1 there. And then it's plus 7. See if I'm getting that same number. 1,511 times 10 to the power 23, which is exactly the same number that I got. It means I am on the right track. So my answer is correct. So that is what I do just to get that kind of assurance to say, you know what, I'm on the right track. Remember, there are many errors that can happen whenever you are under pressure, whenever you are panicking. You are bound to make errors, but if you keep testing like this, you are calming your nerves and you're getting even more better as the exam proceeds. I know people are asking, what is that sign? You know, it's a kind of a danger sign. Some people, when they see this, they are thinking this paper was, it means this question, the question that they're giving here is the most difficult question. But well, it's just, I think they're kind of marking these papers so that it's the genuine paper, you know, a way of signature, in a way to say the paper that is written for the maths for this block, it must have that mark. It's got nothing to do with the difficulty of the paper. Okay, now let us move on to 1.2. Now question 1.2, it says simplify the following logarithms without using a calculator. Without, so do not use a calculator. But you know what I do? Whenever it's possible, like 1.2.1, it allows me to use a calculator, and I'm not going to waste time. I'm going to take my calculator and find the final answer. So quickly, I have got log 4, and don't hide it when you're punching it, thinking that the invigilator will see you. You can just punch it. Don't worry, no one is going to penalize you. Those guys who are invigilating, they won't even mark your paper, so don't stress. Minus log. I've got a student who used to hide whenever they say don't use a calculator, and he'll be hiding this calculator. Now it's like a cheating, you know. But this is the right way of cheating. Punch the calculator, you get a 1. So you know that here I must get a 1. The question is, how did the calculator get a 1? So let's solve it. Now log 4 plus log 2 over log 16 minus log 4. Now logarithm says if there is addition Remember, you multiply. Let's check our formulas, just out of interest. Is there any laws of logarithms? Unfortunately, you don't have the laws of logarithms here. So the logarithm says if there is addition on the logs, you multiply. So this is same as saying log 4 times 2. This is the first law of logarithms. And then it says when there is subtraction, you divide. So it will be log 16 over 2. That is the law of logarithms. And then when you do that, now log 4 times log 2, it will be log 8 on top over, now log 16 divided by 2 is also log 8. So log 8 cancel log, now cancel log, and you get 1. Now don't do this what students usually do. They'll say when they're cancelling, they cancel that and cancel that, they cancel the 8 and cancel the 8. Please, the log is not separate from 8 because it does not exist. The log goes together with 8. So whenever you're cancelling as it's one thing with that. So log 8 into log 8 is 1. That is the same answer which the calculator got, so we're good to go. So that is how you get your 4 marks. It looks simple, but they would have marked you there and they marked you there. Now the fact that you multiplied, you find that maybe they give 3 marks there, or maybe 2 marks on top, 2 marks bottom. You finding log 8 and then getting 1 mark, then they give you 5 marks for that. So this was a cool 2 marks that you could have, a cool 4 marks that you could have used there. Next one, I'm not going to use other alternatives for now, but let's just go to the next one because of time. Now you're given 4 log 332 plus that. Now, just want to show you something. You see this power 3, according to the laws of logarithms, this power 2, it must drop down there. Now, anything that I'm working on here, guys, just to stop again, anything or any strategy that I'm using here is explained in detail in all of my lessons. If you can grab hold of my lessons for Mathematics N1 as well as the textbook, which is Mathematics N1 for the underdogs, I think you will actually be cruising whenever I come to this section, because it's not difficult after you have gone through my lessons to even get a total or 100% from these exams, because I extensively deal with such things. So again, coming back to this, what am I saying here? I'm saying you see this 2, it will drop down to join the 4. When it drops down, it becomes 2 times 4. Don't forget that. It doesn't become 24, it becomes 2 times 4 log in base 3 of 3 plus 4 log in base x of x. You see that? Now 2 times 4, you get your 8. Now log 3 of 3 is 1. You can test that with your calculator. There is a law for that, but you can just test with your calculator and say log 3 of 3. You can see it's a 1. Any number, log 15 of 15, it's a 1. It's a law. So which means log 3 of 3, your bracket is 1 plus 4. Again, you see, log x of x, bracket is 1. So you've got 8 plus 4. The answer there is simple 12. That's it. You can test it. Choose any value of x there. Say x is equal to maybe 3. You put 3. When you add this thing, it will give you 12. That was 16 marks that we're getting in total. So it was not difficult for you to get all those 16 marks. There were some basic things that you could have used there in terms of the concept that we're using. Question 2, it says 3 marks there. Just want to show you if you can see those 3 marks. What does it say? It says 2.1 now. We are looking at there. Question 2. It says from this, subtract this. From, when they say from, the moment they say from, you identify what is the starting point. So from means start from here. This from means start. So you are starting from that. So it means from, we start from 6a plus 4b plus 10. So from that, subtract. Subtract means minus. Now, minus what? Subtract 8 minus 2b minus 2a. If you wrote it like that, trust me, you have got it wrong already. You are not going to get it right. The reason being this word subtract. Yes, subtract means minus, but where is the error? if you forget that bracket there, because this negative is affecting the 8, it is affecting the that, it is affecting that. But the way I had done it, let me go backwards. You see, I just said subtract and I left it like that. It means you're only going to say 10 minus 8. This one will remain negative and that will remain negative, meaning you have already got it wrong. So remember that. So put a bracket so that you distribute the negative in each and every item. So you'll have now your 6a plus 4b plus 10 minus 8. Now see, it's minus 8, which was already negative, but the negative affect that to become plus 2b because it's minus minus. Again, that negative affect the other negative to become plus 2a. That's what they wanted to catch you on there. So you collect like terms, you have got your 6a plus 2a, and then you have got your 4b plus 2b. This is collection of like terms, and then you have got plus 10 minus 8, and when you simplify 6 plus 2, it's 8a, and then plus 4 plus 2 is 6b, and then 10 minus 8 is plus 2. This then becomes your final answer. That is how you could have solved that. Again, it needed you to be careful of the subtraction sign there, and you get your 3 marks without any problems. Again, you can test it. Can you test this one? This one won't be that easier to test as far as I can think of right now, but I have to maybe check it a few times so that I can show you how you can test it. But anyway, it was standard. Now there is the next question. Add the following. The word add simple means plus. So what are you adding? You are adding the following. So you put a plus just like that. So when you add these two, you have got you add them, and when you're adding them is 3 marks, and I think it was a given. You are adding them in. When you're adding them, you can just collect like terms. You know, some they prefer to rearrange them so that they look like this. This is still fine. Minus 5 plus 8x minus 2y. Minus 2y. So whenever you rearrange this, you can start with minus 5, and then you've got plus 10x plus 10y. You see, you could have done this, roll off, and then you add like that. So you say minus 5 plus minus 5 is minus 10. 8 plus 10 is plus 18x. And then minus 2 plus 10y minus 2 plus 10 is plus 8, but you maintain the y. So this was the answer that you're going to get at the end of the day, because you're adding. But even if you say it, collect like terms, say minus 5 plus minus 5, you see, collecting those like terms, and then you go to 8x, which is plus 8x. Then the next one is that one, plus 10x. And then minus 2y and plus 10y, which is that one. This is still the same thing. You're still going to get your marks. And then minus 5 plus minus 5, it is minus 10. And then 8 plus 10 is plus 18x. Minus 2 plus 10 is plus 8y. So whatever way, it was still going to give you the same answer. I hope you are also following on such questions. So what was that going to give you? It was going to give you 3 marks. Now let us move on to the question 2.3. We're here now. It says determine the product and simplify. Product means multiplication. So here they started with subtraction. They did addition. Now they are concerned with multiplication. Now it's 2 marks. And don't know why they discriminate. Addition, 3 marks. Subtraction, 3 marks. Now multiplication, that's discrimination, guys. Anyway, just joking, guys. Now how do you approach that? You approach it through expansion, and they say product and simplify. So the product means expand. So what you do is the x multiplies everything in that bracket, and the minus 2 multiply everything in the bracket. So what you have is, you'll say x times everything in the bracket is x squared plus 2x plus 4, then followed by minus 2 multiplying everything in that bracket, which is x squared plus 2x plus 4. Some they prefer to say I'll show you in the other method actually. So when you've done that, then you start to distribute the x. It goes there, but it's multiplying, sorry, it multiplies there, and it multiplies the each and every item. So it will be x times x, there are 3 now, x cubed. Now x times 2x is plus 2. Now there are 2 of them, now it's x squared. And then x times 4, it's plus 4. Do the same thing with your negative 2. The negative 2 goes there. It multiplies there, and the negative 2 multiplies. When it's done that, it's minus 2 times x, which is negative 2x, minus 2 times x squared, negative 2x squared. Minus 2 times 4 is minus 2 times 2 is negative 4x. I'm actually talking the answers while I'm multiplying. Minus 2 times 4 is negative 8. Your calculator will assist you in this case. When you have done that, look for the like terms. See, you have got 2x squared, you've got 2x, and anything else. Actually, I forgot something. You see, the x there, I said it was 4x. So be careful of that. It was the x cubed, it was the x squared, and the 4x. So I was looking for that one and I couldn't find it. There is the 4x there, and there is also another one with x. And then on the numbers, I just got that. So when I collect like terms, I will have x cubed plus 2x squared minus 2x squared plus 4x minus 4x minus 8. So what am I having? This cancels, 2 minus 2, and then 4 minus 4. So I'm left only with x cubed minus 8. This was actually more simplified than I thought. So it's x cubed minus 8. But on this one, guys, you can test it. Well, how do you test it? Choose any value of x. For example, here you say let x be 4. Let's see if we say let x be equal to 4, and when we use our calculator, what are we going to get? So if I say when in bracket 4 minus 2 there, and then bracket, I've got 4 squared, remember x is 4, plus 2 bracket 4 plus 4. Then I close that bracket. I'm getting 56. Let's go to the final one. X cubed minus 8. It's 4 cubed. See whether I'll get 56 minus 8. And I'm getting 56. So you see, the fact that I can get 56 on top, it means I have simplified this thing properly. So that is how you can solve that. That was 2 marks, but I feel like it had more working also than addition. But anyway, that is what the examiner wanted to bring about. Now let us look at the next question 3 of this complete revision. As I said, guys, if I'm using any method or any strategy that you feel like I'm using and you don't understand it, feel free to check out our mathematics N1 for the underdogs, the textbook. It comes already with videos. You can subscribe. It's just on a cheap price. It's not expensive. Just with a couple of friends, you can subscribe and then get those lessons so that you can get a good foundation. When you come to this exam, it will be very, very easy for you to ace it. Unfortunately, we can't offer them for free because we have to maintain the site. You'll get more information on the website. You go to www.24minute.co.za and you can get more information. Now, factorize the following expressions fully. Now, it's question 3. We are looking at 3.1.1. Factorization in this case, 2 marks, that question. How do you factorize? Factorization means look for something that is common. So start with the numbers 3 and 27. You see that 3 is common. X squared and x, take the smaller power because that x is 1, which is x. So when you're factorizing, it's as good as you're dividing. So you're saying 3 into 3 is 1. X into x squared is x. Minus 3 into 27 is 9. X into x is 1. So it's 9 and 1 there. So you close the bracket. So when you simplify it, you've got 3x, and then you've got x minus 9. Remember, you can prove your answer is correct when you expand. 3 times x is 3x squared. 3x times 9 is minus 27x. So you can just do that, or you can use choose any value of x. For example, x is equal to 5. We put it in the first one and we put it in the last one. If the answers are matching, then it means we're correct. So let's do it. 3 times, we said x is 5, so 5 squared minus 27 times 5. My answer is minus 60. I do the same thing here. 3 times 5 bracket 5 minus 9 close. Is it minus 60? Yes, I'm getting minus 60. So it means it is correct. So that is the part on factorization there. I hope you guys are benefiting. And let's look at 3.1.2. Now we are supposed to factorize again 3.1.2, and this is what I'm given is 3 marks. So how do I go about that? Now look at this. I have x squared, x minus 1. Now I'm noticing something interesting in the second one. I've got minus 5 plus 5. So if I say plus, and I can see 5 is common, I take out 5. So what do I have? 5 into minus 5x is minus x, and 5 into 5 is plus 1. Do you see what I just did? I just took out 5 there. Now if I continue, I have x squared and x minus 1. The aim is to make the second bracket match. Now look at the signs. In the first bracket is positive x, in the second bracket is negative x. Now for me to make it match, instead of, I must take out a negative sign from inside. So when I take out a negative sign from those two, the 5 will change from positive to negative. If it was negative, it was going to be negative to positive. So now it's positive, it will become negative 5, and then you interchange the signs inside. Negative x becomes positive x, positive 1 becomes negative 1. Look, I have managed to match those brackets. Then after that, you have got your x minus 1. The brackets, outside the brackets is x squared, and the other one is minus 5. Then with that, you have fully factorized that. This can't go any further. So that is how you could have solved that. I hope again it did make some sense. 3.2, simplify. You are given that this is a fraction now they're trying to simplify. It's good marks, guys, 5 marks, and you don't want to lose anything in those 5 marks. So we are simplifying. Simplify that. Now look at it. I've got, if I can use from this top, is x minus 4 squared, like that, and then over. Now 5x minus 20, I can take out a 5, so say 5 into 5x is x. 5 into 20, or how many times does 5 go into 20, is 4. So already, do you see what is interesting about that one? You can see that something is matching the top and the bottom. Okay, it's fine. Continue. 10 over x minus 4. And then I need to convert the division sign to a multiplication sign. And when I do that, the one at the bottom will go to the top. Remember how you convert the one at the bottom here. When you're converting, this part here will go to the top, and this part here will go to the bottom. That is what we mean when we say convert. So how do you write it now? You say times, you'll have your x plus 1 now on top over 2. See, 2 is common also. Don't forget 2 is common. I'm factorizing 2. 2 into 2x is x, and 2 into 2 is 1. So I took out 2 while I was also interchanging that. Then after that, I can cross out what is common. For example, I have got the first x minus 4. In actual fact, I can do this part of the thing on top here. Remember, it's x minus 4 squared, so it means I can do it like this. If it's x minus 4 squared, it means it's x minus 4, 1, and another one is x minus 4. That is what it means when it's x minus 4 squared. When it's like that, then when I cross out this one, I will cross out that one. Again, there is x minus 4, it will cross out with that. That's why I did that. Then x plus 1, cross out x plus 1. And then on top, what I have, remember this is 1, this is 1, there is a number, this is 1. So you see the 2 will go into 10 5 times, and there is a 5 there which will go into 5 1. So you have got 1 1 1 multiplying, so it's 1 times 1 times 1 times 1. You have 1 on top. At the bottom you have 1 times 1 times 1. We have 1 over 1, and the answer simple becomes 1. Some students say nothing, but it's not nothing. What you're getting is a 1. How do you test this one? You do the same thing what I've been doing. Choose any value of x. Let's say x is equal to 15. Choose any value, put it there on your thing, and see if ever it's going to give you a 1. So you say 15 minus 4, 15 minus 4 squared. I think I over deleted there. Alright, we've got 15 minus 4 squared. What am I doing now? Alright, let's do it again. Bracket, my x is 15 that I chose. 15 minus 4, it's squared. And then 5x, which is 5 times 15 minus 20. I can put a bracket or I can put a multiplication sign. Times, I've got 10 here over 15 minus 4. Just choose a number. Ensure when you get an error, choose another number. It means you've got an undefined something at the bottom. So choose, when you get an error, choose another number. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. Choose another number, which is 2 times 15 plus 2 over 15 plus 1. It must give me a 1, this thing. You see? It gives me a 1. It means it is correct. So that is how, guys, you approach all this thing. As I'm saying, it makes you get more assurance that you're doing the right thing. Now, moving on, let us look at 3.3. Says determine the lowest common multiple, LCM, and the highest common factor, HCF, of the following algebraic terms by using prime factors. Prime factors. So how to use prime factors? The first thing is to start with it's 7 marks. Okay, this is good marks. Start with your 6p4q3r2 to the power, of course. Now 6 in prime factors is 2 times 3. Some calculators can actually help you find prime factors. Is 2 times 3 times p4, right? q3 r2. What about 24? Because I don't have a calculator, I will use this to get my prime factors. 2 into 20 is 10. 2 into 10 is 5. 5 into 5 is 1. So my prime factor for 20 is 2 to the power of 2 times 5 to the power of 1. You can put a 1 there, which is p2 q5 r to the power of 3. So I've done 20. The next one that I'm doing is 9. 9 is not difficult. 9 is 3 times 3, which is 3 squared. P to the power of 6, Q to the power of 4, R to the power of 5. So I have managed to express this as a product of its prime factors. So I've done that. Now, the next thing for me to do is to find the LCM. Now, how do I find the LCM? Whenever you're looking for the LCM, you look for each and every number that, make sure that every number is appearing on your LCM. So the first smallest number I have is 2. You write the 2. Don't worry with the powers yet. Just write the numbers, the different numbers that you're seeing. From 2, I have a 3. And then I have, from 3, I have a 5. Now, focus on the powers. Look at the numbers which have got the highest powers. For 2, I've got that 2 to the power of 2 as the highest power of 2. Try 3. I have got the highest power of 3 is that one, which is 3 squared. The next one, 5, is only 5 with power 1, like that. So you only, for LCM, it's lowest, but look for the highest powers. And then after that, times. On the letters, write the letters again, P, Q, and R. So there's P, Q, R. Look for the highest powers. P is 4 to 6. So there's 6 being big there. Q is 3, 5, 4. There is 5 being big, which is there. And R is 2, 3, 5. There is a 5. So this is our LCM. That's how you find the LCM. Next one is your HCF. When they talk about the highest common factor, it's a different story now with the highest common factor. When they're talking about the highest common factor, you are looking at the number or the letter which is appearing in all the three. It must appear in 1, in 2, and in 3. Let's start with 2. We see that 2 is appearing here. 2 is appearing here, but there is nothing 2 there. So 2 won't do. We try 3. 3 is appearing there, but it's not there, so it won't do. And even 5, it won't do. So the numbers, there is nothing common with the numbers. Let's try the letters. We have P, we have P, we have P. So I'm going to write P as being common. Now from those P, I must look for the one with the smallest power, and it is that one, which is P squared. You do the same thing for Q. You have Q there, which is 3. You have Q5, you have Q4. So you write Q, the smaller number is 3. Do the same thing with R. You can see that that one comes out as R squared. So this one is your highest common factor. So there was no number, it was only the letters. This is how you approach it. Again, guys, all this is covered in my videos and also in the book that I wrote, which is called Mathematics N1 for the Underdogs. I say underdogs, not meaning that you are low, but it means you are that person who is striving to get your distinction no matter what. You are that motivated person. Remember, we always cheer for the underdogs. Question 4. Now we are moving on. We are moving on to question number 4. Now question number 4 is about solving for x. As you can see, I'm supposed to solve for x. Say solve for x. I'm given that it's a fraction. So I've got x over 3 plus 1 is equal to 4. Simple things first. Remain with x on one side. When it's a plus, it means it's separate. This need to join that one. So it's x over 4. Over 3 there. See some errors that happening. Is equal to 4 minus 1. So we move on. X over 3. Now 4 minus 1 is equal to 3. Now the question is, how do you solve for x after that? Now you can see that this 3 is below. So for you to get rid of it, you can multiply by 3 over 1. But what you do on the left, 3 over 1 you do on the right. This will cancel out the 3 such that you've got x is 3 times 3 over 1. It means x is 9. Definitely on each and every equation, it is a must for you to prove it. So don't do equations without proving them. So if I can prove the equation, remember I've got x plus 1. I got my answer as 9. So where there is x, I put 9 over 3 plus 1. It must give me a 4. So you see, I've got 4 here. I've got 4 that side. Left hand side balances the right hand side. My answer is correct. So with equations, you don't need to worry. You can actually test your answer with the equation. So you can see that 90% of what we're doing, or let's say roughly 3/4 of what we've done so far, we're able to test it. There is another solving for x. You are given that part and we're supposed to solve for x, 4.1.2. What do? Take the 5 to distribute it, enter inside there. Take the 5 to there. Now it says minus. If you see the negative simple means if there is a bracket, it means interchange what is inside. So 5x here, 5 times 1 times -1 is -5. Now that negative means 1 is positive, it will become -1. Now the x is negative, it will become positive x. That's what actually it means. Or what they're saying is you have a -1 here. You can distribute. -1 times 1 is -1. -1 times -x is positive x. It's the same as interchanging what is inside. Is equal to 8. Now when you have done that, remain with x on one side. You have got 5x plus x is equal to 8. That number minus 5 becomes positive 5. Why? Because it joins 8. Minus 1 also joins there to become positive 1. Or you can add these first. Minus 5 minus 1 becomes minus 6, and then you jump it there. You can see there is the 6 there. So after that, you're going to have 5x plus x. You've got 6x is equal to 8 plus 5 plus 1, or 8 plus 6. In this case, I think 8 plus 6 will give you 14. But just to test with the calculator to say what is 8 plus 6, I always trust the calculator, I know, or 8 plus 5 plus 1, which is 14. Divide by 6. Divide by 6. Remember, 6 and x is multiplying. You can only divide, so that your x will be equal to, I think it will be 7 over 3 there. If you can use your calculator, I think it will give us 7 over 3. Sorry about that. So if I just take the calculator again and see what it's giving me, anyway, it's fine. I can get that calculator. It's 7 over 3. So here we've got 7 over 3, but you can test your answer again. Remember, I said the importance of solving for x is always test your answers. So if you go to the calculator there and you say 5 into my x is 7 over 3, right, minus 1, close the bracket, minus bracket 1 minus 7 over 3. This, when I simplify, it must give me 8. So when I do that, equal to, you see I'm getting an 8. It means my answer is therefore correct. So that is how you solve that. Now let us look at 4.2. 4.2 is 4 marks. It's a word problem. It says the sum of a number and 5 less than double the number is 34. What is the number? So I know it's a statement confusing, but you need to come up with a mathematical equation. It says the sum means plus, of a number, let that number be x. We don't know that number. The sum of a number, which number is x, and 5, the sum of a number. So the sum of a number and 5, meaning you are adding that number, which is x. The sum of a number and 5 means x plus 5. The sum of a number and 5. So what is the sum of a number and 5? So this statement on its own is giving us x plus 5. And then the sum of a number and 5 less than double. So less means minus, less than double the number, less than double means 2 the number, which is 2x, because that number, we said let the number x is 34. Is means equal to 34. So the sum of a number and 5, so the sum of a number and 5, the sum, you can see the sum of a number and 5 less, which is minus, double the number, 2x is 34. What is the number? Then after that, you are solving for x. So what you have here, you have got x minus 2x is equal to 34 minus 5. So minus x is equal to, you have got, in this case, you will have 34 minus 5. If you use your calculator there, it will be, I think, 34 minus 5 is 29. So there I have 29 there. So divide by negative x. So, divide by negative 1 because you're looking for x there. So when you divide by negative 1, you will have now your x is equal to negative 29. So the number, the sum of a number, so the sum of, if you take it back now, the sum of negative 29 and 5. So the sum of that and 5 less double the number, which is 2 and minus 29, is equal to 34. That's what they were saying. So that is the solution to that. When you prove it, it will give you then equal to 34. So that is how I would have solved that. And students always stress out when it comes to this section, but I always tell them, listen, even if you didn't answer this section, you still have 96% of the paper to pass. So don't let this section stress you, whereby you find you're focusing a lot of your time here. You find that you're spending, you see, I didn't even want to think much about it. You find that you spend almost 20 minutes here. Now, when you spend 20 minutes here, you're getting tired, you're getting fatigued, your brain can get fatigued. You are now, after the brain gets fatigued, you start making errors. So these questions are there now to distract you so that you don't focus on the other questions, in which had you just left this and come back to it later, you would have actually done better below than trying to solve it and at the end of the day get it wrong. So you see that it's actually a negative on you. Now let us go to 4.3. Given t is equal to that, make n the subject of the formula. So I'm interested in making n the subject. So for us, the key thing that they were trying to trick you there is a and d. So you are supposed to realize that t is equal to, bring d to a, it's a d n minus 1. That's what they wanted to trick you there, because you were going to expand that and expand that, but what are we going to do to d? So you must bring first a, d, is because d is multiplying and a is multiplying, so they are all together. Then you can multiply if you want to do that. It will be t is equal to a dn minus a d. Then after that, take that one to the other side. You left t plus a d is equal to a dn. Remember, you're focusing on n. Then divide by ad, divide by ad. Then you'll have your n now as t plus ad over n. That is one way you could have done it. Someone would have said t is equal to a n minus 1 d. You can actually divide there by a and d, so that this goes and that goes, but what you do on the left, you do on the right. So when you've done that, you have got, you see, t over ad is equal to n minus 1. Take 1 to the other side, t over ad here plus 1 is equal to n. This answer is the same as, actually I wrote this answer wrong here. This t plus ad over n, just to correct the t plus ad over ad here. So this answer and this answer is one and the same thing. Why am I saying it? If you continue with this answer, the ad will cancel the ad, but let me do this because you don't want to make errors. This is the same as saying t over ad plus ad over ad is equal to n. So the ad is affecting t and the ad is affecting n. So when you to cancel there, you have got t over ad plus 1 is equal to n. See that? It is the same thing there. But it was not necessary to simplify. Your answer was still going to be correct. Now that was one part. Now let us look at the other second part of the question. The second part of the question says, remember I said n of the answers is fine, but it continues. 4.3.2 says determine the value of n if t, see they're giving you the value of t, the a and the d. So which means this question continues, so that you will come here and say where there is t, you put 13 over where there is a is minus 5 times where there is d, you put your 2 plus 1 is equal to n. Simplifying that, what you'll have then is going to be 13 over minus 5 times 2 and then plus 1. See that? And then it gives you minus 10 over 3. So which is equal to minus, it was minus 3 over 10 actually. I think it was minus 3 over 10. Let me just check again. We say it is 13 over minus 5 times 2 plus 1. It's minus 3 over 10, yes. So that is the value of n there, to say n is equal to minus 3 over 10. So that is how you could have approached question 3. Now let us look at, question 4. Let us look at question 5. And question 5 here is focusing on equations. On graphs. This is on graphs. We just did equations. If I look at question 5, I'm seeing that question 5 says the standard form of a straight line is y is equal to mx plus c. So this section is on graphs. Say, what does m and c represent? Don't forget, m represent the gradient of the graph and c represent the y-intercept. Don't forget that. So that is what it means, m and c. M is the gradient, c is the y-intercept. And then says, determine the equation of a line if the gradient is 3 and the y-intercept is 2. You see? So they're saying determine the equation of a line. So remember, the equation of a line is y is mx plus c. Now they're telling you determine that equation of a line if the gradient, remember gradient is m, so where there is m I put minus 3x, and the y-intercept, which is that c, is 2, which is mx plus 2. So the answer was simple that. You're just supposed to write and you get just 2 marks for that. Okay, moving on to the next one, which is question 5.1.3. This is what we're given. It says, given y is that, use the table method to draw the graph of y is that on a graph paper for the domain. We're given that domain. See what we're given there? And then this is 4 marks. So what you can do here, you can use your calculator. Let me show you how your calculator can actually be used to draw that graph. So what you do is take your calculator and go to a setup, and then you go to 3, and then you punch that equation fx is equal to -3, and then where there is x, you say alpha. You look for that part, there is x there at the bottom, which is x plus 2. You see that? Now where it says start, that is your domain. They say start from -2. You say equal to. Where it says end, you put the other one, which is 2. So you start from -2, you end at 2. The step, just choose 1 as a step, is much better. Now these are the table of values. They say use the table method. So these are the tables you're going to use. When x is -2, y is 8, -1, 5, 0. So that's what they are talking about there. So you can use this table method to find, these are the calculator can actually help you. So if you are to draw that table, what you'll be having something like this. Because when they're talking about the table method, they're talking about x and y. So they say start from -2, you continue, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So that's what you're doing. So here, when you're calculating with the calculator, when x is -2, you're saying -3, -2 plus 2. That's what you're saying. So -3 times -2, it's 6 plus 2, which is 8. So here you write your 8. You change from -2, you put 1. So you'll have now -3 times -1, which is equal to 4 plus 2. Then you've got your 6. You move on. When x is 0, here, you say y is equal to -3, 0 plus 2. Then you get your 2 there. Then you change when x is 1, -3 plus 1, you say it's -1 there. And when x is 2, you change the 2 there, -6 plus 2, you get a -4. That is the table method that they were saying. Then you need to take these values and you need to draw them on a graph paper. Now, if we try to check if ever, unfortunately this paper didn't come with a graph paper, but let me add a graph paper here for you, just to have an idea how you could have drawn this. So let's say this was our graph paper. What you simply do, get your line. If we're plotting that graph, let's say this is my part. Okay, let me try to make it a little bit straight. Okay, so this is what I have, and I come there, and this is what I have. So with my graph, don't forget what is important. First things first, you need to tell us these are your y-axis, and then you need to tell us these are your x-axis. If you don't, they'll penalize you some marks. Then you go back to look at the part. The highest value of y is 8. You see, y is 8, and the lowest value of y is -4. So you need to go here and count to see whether you have got 8 up. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You see, so I need to go much further, which means my line needs to extend because it's going up. I'm not going to erase there. This is 7 and this is 8. Remember, going up is positive. That is the y-axis. And then it at -4, which is -1. Going down is negative. -2, -3, -4. When you've done that, you look at the values of x. X is -2 and 2. It's up to you, but try to make your graph as big as possible. You can jump 2 boxes to say this is 1, jump 2 boxes, it's 2. So with x, when you're going to the right is positive, going to the left, jump 2 boxes, you say 1, jump 2 boxes, 2, but going to the left is negative. Now when you've done that, you can now plot the graph. When x is, that's what now you're saying, when x is -2, y is 8. So you come here to say, when x is -2, you follow that, and there is a point there. That is your -2 and 8 there. You don't need to write that, but I'm just showing you what I'm having. Then you say, when x is -1, y is 6. You do the same, -1, you look for 6. There is your another point there. And then do the next one. When x is 0, y is 2. So since x is 0 is on top of the y-axis, and that y-axis is 2 because x is 0 is on top of that. Then you move on. When x is 1, y is -1. So when x is 1, the y value is -1, is at the bottom there of that. And then lastly, when x is 2, y is -4. So you say when x is 2, y is -4 is at the bottom now. When you have done that, the most important thing now is to join the lines. And when you're joining the line, because I don't have a straight ruler, I'll start from there. These must form a straight line. Remember, this is a straight line graph. It must pass that graph, and you must also, your line must start from there like that, but it must be a straight line. Then you need to label the graph. Y is equal to, go backwards, they said it was -3x plus 2, so y is equal to -3x plus 2. So that is how you were supposed to solve this particular graph. So that is how you're supposed to solve that particular question, and with that you are going to get your 4 marks. All right, so I hope you're still benefiting from this section, and for any more clarity, remember I told you that there are I have done some videos on the whole curriculum for mathematics, so you can grab hold of that. Now let's look at question 5.2. It says the graph given below is in the form of y is equal to a over x. Determine the value of a. So we're looking at that. Y is equal to a over x. Now they want us to determine the value of a. They gave you a hint. That hint is -2 and 1. Remember, -2 represent x and -1 represent y. So you have got x as -2. You have y as -1. You substitute this here. So where there is y, you say -1 is equal to a over -2. When you have done that, how do you solve for a? You can multiply by -2 this side, multiply by -2 this side, so that here -2 times -1 is 2 is equal to a. Or you could have said quickly y is equal to a over x. You start by multiplying by x and multiplying by x before you substitute, so that you have got x, y is equal to a. But you know what is your x? It's your -2. You know what is your y? Is your -1 is equal to a. -2 and times -1, you have got 2 is equal to a. Whatever way, you're going to get the answer, and it's 2 marks. So that is how you could have solved that one. Now, moving on, it says, okay, let me not erase, maybe to link. 5.3 says, given xy is equal to 5. Xy is equal to 5. Then it says, what is the graph called that is shown in question 5.2? So what's the name of this graph in 5.2? This graph in 5.2 is called a hyperbola. Alright, that is a hyperbola, because, and usually it's got two types. There is one, it's got two sides. There is one in quadrant 1 and one in quadrant 3, or it's either is in quadrant 2 or in quadrant 4, but you need to know that. Actually, they're asking that in question 5.3.2. They are saying, in which quadrants should the graph be drawn? So this graph, when you're drawing it, there is no way you can draw it like the way it is shown. These graphs always go in pairs. There is one in, like this one is in, if I can mark it, this is quadrant 1, this is quadrant 2, this is quadrant 3, and this is quadrant 4. So when you're moving, remember, you're moving anti-clockwise like this. Alright, so it's either the graph is in quadrant 1 and 3, or the graph is in quadrant 2, mustn't touch like that, it's in quadrant 2 and quadrant 4. So the question is, in which quadrant should the graph be drawn? Already you see it's in quadrant 1, it's in 3, so your answer will be, it should be drawn in quadrants 1 and 2. Alright, next question says, explain the relation of the graph. Now, the relation of this graph, you must always know the relationship of a hyperbola graph is when x increases, y decreases. That's the relationship there. Or vice versa. You can say, or when y increases, x decreases. Or the right way of putting it, you can say x is inversely proportional to y. That is what they're saying. X is inversely proportional to y. That is the relationship that you're describing on top here. You're saying x is inversely proportional to y, and with that you get your 13 marks. Now let us look at the next question is question number 6, and at this stage you're about to finish your exam. You know, you have worked your way and you're still working your way, you're still hanging in there, but you persevere until the end. Question 6, it says, see question 6, complete the following sentence by writing only the missing word or words next to the question number 6.1 in the answer book. So let's look at the question. It says, if the core interior angles are supplementary, then the lines are. Now you must first understand what are core interior angles. So they're saying if the core interior angles are supplementary. So for example, let me use a line. You've got that line, and if I draw a straight line like this, these are core interior angles. So you've got A, you've got B. So they're saying if the core interior angles, they are supplementary, then the lines are, it's a straight line. You understand? So if the core interior angles are supplementary, then the lines, or actually I think I'm writing this one wrong. Let me look at this in a different way. Let's say you have got this one like that. I think that would be the better one. So they are saying, yes, this one is much better for supplementary. So they are saying if co-interior angles, you see that one? This is inside, this is inside. So they are saying if the co-interior angles are supplementary means they add up to 180 degrees, then the lines are parallel. I think that is the right one. Then the lines are parallel, meaning this line is parallel to that line. I almost get that one wrong, but yeah, this is your geometry. And then next one, that is 1 mark. Study the diagram below. Then 6.2 says calculate the value of a, b, x, and y and give a reason for each answer. So now let us look at this question. That was actually all of it, and I mean this was good marks. It was 8 marks. So the first things first, actually there's different ways you could have started. Look, you could have began your question. Look, let's focus on our y. Now this is a straight line. As you can see, I'm interested in this straight line here, and you must know the sum of angles in a straight line add up to 180. So if I add this angle and I also add that angle, meaning if I say y plus 55 degrees, I must get 180 degrees. Reason, sum of angles in a straight line. So this is the reason behind equal to 180. You see, sum of angles in a straight line equal to 180 degrees. That is not clear now. In a straight line equal to 180 degrees. So that is that. So which means if I solve for y, take the y, 55 on the other side is 180 degrees minus 55. And then it will give you that particular angle for y. And then what am I getting? If I take a calculator, it will be 180 minus 55. It gives me 125. So I've got 125 degrees for this one. So I've got 125 here. Alright, next one. Which one can we go for? We can use the same method or the same concept to find this particular angle here. You see, it's still a straight line also. So what are you having to find? If I add that and I add that, sum of angles in a triangle. So if I say x plus 78 degrees, it must give me 180 degrees. Reason, sum of angles in a straight line. See that? Equal to 180 degrees. When I've done that, do the same thing. X is 180 minus 78 degrees, and then x is equal to, and then when I do that, get your calculator there, it's 180 minus 78, it gives me 102. So this is the value of x here, which is 102 there. I can use a different marker there. It is 102. Alright, we're getting there. Now the next one is that we can find is this particular angle. Now this particular angle, you can see that this is a triangle. So if I can use maybe a different line to say, if I can use this is a triangle, which is that one, which is that one. So you're seeing a triangle there, and you must know when I add a plus 55, which is this one, plus 78, which is this one, it must give me 180 degrees. What is the reason? These are sum of angles in a triangle is equal to 180. Remember that. So now I've got a plus, if I add those 55 plus 78, it gives me 133. So 133 is equal to 180. So A is equal to, take it to the other side, it's 180 minus 133. And then I have my A being equal to, if I use my calculator, it will give me 180 minus 133 is equal to 47. So I've got my A is equal to 47 degrees. So there is my 47 degrees. Then the next and the last one I need is my B. Now to get my B here is the same concept. You must see, if I look at this line here, it is a straight line, meaning if I say A plus B, it is equal to 180 degrees, and these are sum of angles in a straight line. Remember, keep writing the reasons because they say it with reasons, right? So, but I know my A is 47 plus B is 180. Take 47 to the other side, B is 180 minus 47. So my value for B in this case, it will give me 180 minus 47, it's 133. So that is 133 degrees. That's my value for B. So this is how I could have approached it. There are different ways I could have approached it. Even also, if I wanted to find, there is the concept which says the exterior angle, this 125 is equal to this sum. If I say 125 is same as 47 plus 78. Let's try it. This is the exterior angle of a triangle is equal to the sum of the opposite interior angles. So 47 plus 78, you can see that is giving me this 125. Or you could have said also, look at this exterior angle, this x is equal to these two added together. So if you say 47 plus 55, these are different ways. As I say, 47 plus 55, it would have given you x, which is 102. So these are different ways you could have approached it. But for now, I was just using one concept. All right. Now let us move on. So that was question 6. Now looking at question number 7 there. Our question number 7, it says, this is what you are given. You are given A is that, angle B is that, and then determine the following using a calculator. This is a good one now. Now they're saying cos A minus B, so you'll simply say cos A is 75 minus 15. This section, you mustn't get it wrong. You mustn't get it wrong. And now, don't forget the rounding off. So cos 75 minus 15, it gives you half, which is 0.5. So it's good. Now they said leave your answer to 3 decimal places unless otherwise. So your calculator gave you 0.5. This will be wrong if you don't follow the instructions. So what you need to do, you just do it again. You say cos 75 minus 15. Remember, you must leave it to 3 decimal place, SD. So you say shift setup. There is 6 for fix. Then you say 3 decimal place. You say SDC 0.500. So that is what they can penalize your mark on. 3 decimal place. Then sin A plus B is that 75 is A, B is 15. And what am I getting? If I use again the calculator straight away, is sin 75 plus 15, which is 1. But don't forget, shift setup 6 to check what is it, 1,0000. 1,000, 3 decimal places. You get your 2 marks. Don't forget such errors because they told you leave your answer to 3 decimal places unless otherwise stated. 7,2, you are given y is that, and then they have given you that domain there. X is between 0 and 180. Determine the period of the graph. Now, whenever you are writing this, y is equal to minus 2 cos x. Right. So what you have in this particular graph, you have got things that you have to identify. We have got minus 2, which we call the amplitude. Are you seeing that? And then you have got the negative sign in there is actually telling you how the graph is turning. Now cos x, when they say the period, a period is a complete revolution for that particular graph. Now for cos, the revolution of that graph, the period there is 180, or it is pi. So that is the period of this particular graph. All right, that is a complete revolution for that graph. And then the next one says determine the range of the graph. Now the range of the graph is that 2, as you can see, from here to here is the amplitude. So the range here is 2. That is the range of the graph. That is the amplitude there. Determine, you can actually find it from that. And then it says draw the graph of this from that on a graph paper. Use 30 intervals. So now how will it draw this graph? The best part of this is to come up with your table of values like this before you draw the graph. Do your table of values. Now I'll show you how your calculator can quickly draw this graph. So here you have got your x and you have got your y. So now if you are using a calculator to draw the graph, what you're going to do is the calculator can actually draw the graph once. You say setup table, which is 3, and you have got minus 2, then you say cos alpha x is equal to, start from, they say start from 0, end at 180, and then step, they told you the step, use 30 intervals, so those are the steps. See, then after that you are looking for those numbers that are perfect. For example, 0, that's what I'm going to be writing here. Let's just remember them. I've got 0, 30 won't do because you see there is a lot of decimals. I will jump to 60, then I'll use 90, so it's 0. I think the one, so that I don't forget them, it's 0, 30 will not do, then it's 60, it's 90, it's 120, 150 will not do, but 180 will do. So if you do that, if you still remember what we have 0, I'll write 30, but we know that it was off. I've got 60, remember 30 intervals, 90, 120, 150, and 180. So now if I start using the calculator to check that, because I removed my table of values, now I have to manually calculate that. So it will be minus 2 cos 30. I'm getting actually 0 first, because 30 we saw that it was not the one. I'm getting minus 2 here. Then do the same thing again. Remember 30 did not do, but 60 did. Minus 2 cos 60. It gave us a negative 1. Then let's do 90. And minus 2 cos 90, negative 2 cos 90. We got a 0. Do 120, which is negative 2 cos 120. Gave us a 1. I think 150 refused. And then we have minus 2 cos, let's try 150 just for proof. You see that it gave us root 3, which is, if you say root 3, you see it's a long number, but let's do 180 there. It gave us a positive 2. Then this is what you'll be plotting. So if you can plot that, and if I can, okay, now if you can plot that, remember they'll give you a graph paper, But how can you draw that in your book? So if you can have this line, now go backwards and see the values of y is -2 as biggest, but x is only positive. You see, there is no negative value of x, is 0 going to the positive direction. So you can literally start it from this side here, because there is nothing negative with x. So what you'll have here, you have y-axis, and here you have x-axis. And then you can now remember you're moving in 30, so you can move, jump 2, you have 30, jump 2, you have 60, jump 2, you have 90, jump 2, 120, jump 2 is 150, and jump 2 there is 180. Make sure you jump evenly. The beginning is 0. And now when you look at the part, jump 2 squares, you have got 1, jump 2 squares, you have 2. Do the same at the bottom, because we have a negative, -1 and -2. You can do on the other side also to show this is negative, but just want to say -30. But there was no negative. Remember, when you're plotting, when x is 0, y is -2. So you have got when x is 0, y is -2. It's on top of y. Move on. When x is 30, we leave it. When x is 60, y is -1. So you go for x 60 and -1. There's a point there. And then when x is 90, y is 0. There is a point on top there. When x is 120, y is 1. There is a point there. And 150, we ignore it. When x is 180, y is 2. So you'll have that and that. So when you have done that, then you need to draw your graph. Remember, this is a course graph. It was supposed to do like that. So this is how the graph, it's actually supposed to touch there. Just this one here, just to touch this line, which I'm keep on missing here. All right, like I'm trying to get a smooth flow from here to here. Anyway, I'm missing on that one, but I think you are getting in your kind of that. But anyway, you need to come up with a smooth graph, and you'll have here y is equal to, it's the graph of -2 cos x. All right, so this is the graph that we're supposed to have. So when they say plot the graph, a calculator can quickly show you these values. Remember, I got these values quicker with the calculator. So what you need to do, you can just go straight to the graph and you get your 3 marks. Now let us move on to the next one. And the next one is apparently our last question. And this is the end of our question, which is question 8, which is good. You have been hanging on there. I know you're still watching this so that you can see how this ends. But to get more of these videos, remember to subscribe to our channel, and then you can benefit more as we post these videos. Now 8.1 says the diagram below is a cylinder with a height of that and a diameter of that. So if you look at this, you can see the height and the diameter they are giving there. Now let's look at the questions. Calculate the volume of the cylinder. Now they want us to find the volume of the cylinder. Now let's go to the formulas and we'll look for the cylinder, and there must be a cylinder, volume of a cylinder. There we go. If I can make this bigger, you can see that we have the volume of a cylinder there. So volume, if it's pi d squared over 4 times h or pi r squared h. So it's up to you which one you want to use. You can use this one, pi d squared. Since we're given the diameter, it's pi d squared 4 times h. So you come here and write that formula to say V is equal to pi d squared over 4 times h, or pi r squared h. Whatever way. Now they told us what was the diameter. They said the diameter was 120. So you're going to say pi times 120 squared over 4, and the height is 160. When you do that, it will give you the formula, the answer for the, in this case, for the volume, which is shift pi, I'm looking for my pi, there is my pi, times d squared is 120 squared over 4 times 160, and I'm getting a long answer for that. And let me see something. Yes, it's in meters, so it's what? It's 1,809 is 1809557. To 3 decimal places, actually I needed to know this whole number, but if you have a calculator, it's not going to be a problem. It's 1809557, 1809557 point, I think it was 308. But remember the units, meter, volume is in cubic meters. So it was a matter of me writing that as is. So this is the volume of the cylinder. And then they say, determine the surface area of the cylinder as a sealed unit. Sealed unit is very important. Now, when they talk about the surface area again, go to the formulas. And we are done with the cylinder volume. Let's look for the area. And if ever we have got a surface area for the cylinder, we have got volume. Okay, unfortunately you don't have the surface area for the cylinder. I don't see that formula, which means you need to derive it on your own. So what you do, you come back to this question. Remember, they say it as a sealed unit. So what you need to remind yourself, we've got the volume, you can remove that. Now when you're dealing with a cylinder, the first thing that you need to remind yourself is, if I can paint this, when they're saying it's a sealed unit, they are saying the top here, this top, I'm looking for that part to say here, this top is sealed. You can paint it if you are painting it. And then also we have a bottom here, which is hidden because the cylinder. And then you have the body of the cylinder here that is rounding. So I'm gonna separate it with that. So this is the body. Just for time, I'm not gonna do it thing. So now what are you noticing? You have two parts. You have the top part and the bottom part. Now is the area of a circle. Area of circle here. And even here you have got area of circle. Now the area of a circle, look at the formula and see, did they give you the area of a circle? There is the area of a circle in terms of pi, it's of d, it's pi d squared over 4. So you come here and say pi d squared over 4. And then here also it will be pi d squared over 4. So you've got two of them. So if you simplify that, it will be pi times diameter is 120 squared over 4. Even here it will be pi times 120 squared over 4. That is the part of the question. Remember, the question says determine the surface area of the cylinder. So the top and the bottom part. Now we want this other part, which is the body. Now if you stretch this other part, what you're going to have, you are going to have this whole length. Let me show you. This length, if you stretch it, you'll have this length, which is the circumference. So it's the circumference of a circle. You need to know the formula of the circumference. They gave you that formula of the circumference, which is pi d of the circumference. So here if you work on it like this, you will have that circumference, which is C is pi d is the length, so you'll have something like this. So this line is now the circumference, the long length, which is C, which is equal to pi d. But I explained this main, as I said, in the lesson for mathematics N1 for the underdogs. So this is pi d, which is the circumference, which is pi times 120. And then this distance here is your height, which is 160. So the area there is equal to pi times 120 times 160. So now you have to add all this area to find the final surface area. And if you do that, I'll be having, the first one, remember, was pi, so it's shift pi times 120 squared. It was pi times 120 squared over 4, the top one, the bottom one again, plus shift pi times 120 squared here, squared over 4, and then plus the area here is also pi times 120 times 160. So this is how you find the area, which is 26,400 pi. So you have got 26,400 pi, but you know that you have to simplify that. You can't leave your answer in terms of pi, which is 26,400 shift pi. I was just doing it so that I can say press SD, which is 82,938.046. So it's 82,938.046, I think. Now they say surface area is square meters. So that is how you find the surface area there. And then in a few more questions to finish, that was the surface area for marks. The next one says, calculate the radius of a circle if the area of a circle is that. They want you to calculate the radius of that circle. Now remember, you have a formula for the area of the circle, and in terms of the radius, it's pi r squared. So they gave you the radius there. So they say find the area of the circle. Remember, area is pi r squared. They want to find the radius, so they gave you that area. The area is already given, which is 12.567 is equal to pi r squared. So to find r, divide by pi. You do that. So you divide. So you have got 12.567 over pi is equal to r squared. But remember, you're only looking for r. You square root and you square root. Therefore, you will have your r as here. Again, such questions you can't do without the calculator. So you say square root of that 12.567 divided by pi. Shift, you have a pi, and you have got 2.00005 into 3 decimal places. You can see that is 2.00. So you've got 2.000, 3 decimal places, don't forget. And units, area was in centimeter squared, even your r must be in centimeters. So you can conclude and say, therefore, radius is equal to 2,000 centimeters, because that is the units of measurement. Alright, 8.3, it says a student obtained 22 marks out of 30 in a maths test. So the maths test was out of 30, now you get 22 marks. It's still good marks. Now calculate the percentage. So it's 22 marks out of 30 times 100. That's how they calculate the percentage. So this was also something not that complicated. So when you do that, you have to actually utilize your calculator in this case, because it simplifies everything. So when you use a calculator there, it will be, in this case, 22 over 30 times 100%. Remember, percentage is out of 100. So the student got 73.333. Remember 3 decimal places. Shift, setup, 6 for fix, 3 decimal place. SD is 73.333. Don't forget, the part you are dealing now is a percentage. Alright, then you get your 2 marks for that. Now, last but not least, the one which is the finale, the final question, 8.4, says 81% of a certain number is 84. What is the number? So when they say 81%, that statement, you write it like this: 81%. It means 81 over 100 of a certain number. Let that number be x. We don't know that number. So 81% times x means equal to is 84. Now they want that number. So that's what you're having. 81 over 100 times x is that. It's up to you how you want to solve it. You can divide 81 into 100. It's 0.81 x, because 100 easily goes into 81. It's 0.81 is equal to 84. So that you can divide now by 0.81 over 0.81. When you do that, you'll get your x to become, in this case, 84 divided by over 0.81. It will give you that number, which is 103.7037, which is 7.7034. But you can use a calculator to round off for you. It becomes 103.704. So 103.704. That is the number. Or someone will say, but I didn't want to do it like that. You can multiply by 100 here, multiply by 100 there. So you'll have 81x is equal to, when you do that, it cancels. It will be 84 times 100. Then divide by 81, divide by 81. When you do that, you'll see that x is equal to, it will still give you the same answer. In this case, it will be, if we use our calculator, it will be 84 times 100 over 81. Then you see, we are still getting the same answer as the one that we got here. So yes guys, we've come to the end of our lesson. As I said, this was a I went once with the question. I rarely do this, whereby I go straight from question 1 to question last, working on the paper so that you can see, if you're in the exam, how were you going to solve that. I hope you got some strategies and you will use these techniques for your benefit in the final exam. And remember to subscribe to our channel if you have not done so, and also to share our channel with your friends so that they can also benefit from this. Now, there are many resources that we have. If you want to enroll for our online class, we have all those. If you want to buy our mathematics N1 for the underdogs, we've got the book, which comes already with all the videos for the curriculum. And I will encourage you, if you are interested in your mathematics N1, N2, and N3, to grab hold of these, and they will greatly assist you. We have come to the end of our lesson. Thank you, and once again, watch out for our new lessons.